balmy shores of sunny Florida to the cold winds of Chicago and everywhere in between, you're watching the Red Wimet Show, live, coast to coast. Talk of the town, Mr. Red Wimet.
Hello, everybody. Today is October 15th, 2025. And I am Red Wimet. How you doing, folks? Christina, glad to see you. Well, you always show up. That's great. I can rely on you. Joseph, how you doing? Good afternoon. Hey, Rob. Hey, back at you. Tim Hunt. You know, I was wondering if you were going to show up today because this story may interest you. You may have some questions, but I'm not going to answer until I'm done talking about it. Dave M., how you doing, buddy? Okay. I think. What happened here? Okay, that's what happened. Something goofed up, technical difficulties. Anyway. Hey, you're back, buddy. What's the topic today? Well, it's a question mark. Where and when? And what happened? It was east on Grand Avenue. When? It was in December, just before Christmas, around December 20th, I think. I'm not sure, but I think it was December 20th. At any rate, I was going east on Grand Avenue. Actually, I went all the way from Harlem, going east, and I was on my way to American Bonding, but I had to stop someplace. So as I was going east, this is 1973, in December. It was cold. I had the window shut on the car because it was cold outside. And there are a little bit of flurries, not many. The streets were dry. It wasn't bad snow. As I was going along, I saw Frank Schweihs standing on the sidewalk. And I said, I'll pull up. Then I noticed something weird. He had a walkie-talkie in his hand. So I didn't stop. Whatever it was, I didn't want to get involved. But as I passed, I heard 2 shotgun blasts. And that was in what we called at the time Rosie's Grill. And they called it Rosie's Sandwich Shop in the newspapers and other places. But we called it Rosie's Grill. It belonged to Jimmy Kozo's father, Sammy Kozo. And he was also nicknamed Jelly Belly because he had a big belly. And his wife, Jimmy's mother, was Rose. Her name was Rose. So they called it Rosie's Grill. At any rate, Sammy wasn't there that day. But one person that was there was, or one of the several people that I know that was there, was Marshall Cafano. And the reason he was there was they had a payphone in there. So he could call. Somebody could call him and he would pick up the payphone. And they would know his location, exactly where he was at. So who called him over and over? Richard Kane. And the two shotgun blasts that I heard was Kane being murdered. And shortly after the blast, I'd say maybe 2-3 minutes, because I was coming to the intersection there, I saw a Firebird leave. Real hopped up Firebird. And I'd always been told by the real pros that if you did a good job, you didn't need a fast car to get away. But anyway, this is the way it was. And then I learned a lot of things. One of the things that I got a blast out of was that I wanted to see the actual site one day. I used to go across the street to Diamato's Bakery, and I used to go over there and get my sausage for my Italian sausage, and the bread sometimes too. But inside, after the body was removed, there was a chalk outline from the police. And Joey Lombardo was in there when it happened. And he wrote, "Here lies the ghost of Richard Kane," within the chalk marks. There's a few photographs that were taken. I can't find one now. It just doesn't happen anymore. Let's see if I can get you any kind of photographs up here that have to do with it. This is a photograph of Richard Kane when he was a younger man. That was probably when he was involved in the Bay of Pigs. He was involved in the Bay of Pigs. He was one of the soldiers. He trained people and actually invaded, and had some problems. He spoke Spanish very fluently. Had some problems, and he went to Mexico, and eventually he was indicted and extradited, and he went to prison. But the man that lured him in to his spot was this man, Marshall Cafano. Marshall and him did business in the old days, except Marshall, who was a friend of Tony Accardo's from the old days, always believed that Kane was an informant. Always believed that he was double dealing. So I'm sure when Tony Accardo gave him the nod to go ahead and kill him, he did. And the actual trigger man was this guy, Joey Lombardo. Joey Lombardo talked about this afterwards when he was comfortable around people, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years later. I think it was 1976 when I heard him talk about it. And he said, when those cops came in, they asked me, what'd you see? They asked everybody, what'd you see? What'd you see? And we didn't tell him Marshall ran out the back door. We didn't tell him Marshall left before Kane, when the walkie-talkie said Marshall is coming, or Kane is coming. So Marshall ran out the back door and got away. He wasn't anywhere near the scene when he happened. He had an alibi. Open and shut. He didn't shoot him. Joey said to the police, he said, they asked him what he saw. And he said, I didn't see anything. I didn't see nothing at all. And they said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, all I saw is these big barrels. He put his hands up like that. These big barrels. He's telling us about it. And he said that was his story, and he stuck by it. Now, the truth of the matter is, the shotgun was underneath his neck and blew the top of his head off and his face. One barrel and the second barrel. It was a side-by-side shotgun. But that's exactly what had happened. Now, since the CIA released its papers and everybody's gone, we find out that Richard Kane and Chucky Nicoletti were in Dallas. And they were two shooters, not Oswald. Isn't that odd? So in 73, we have the murder of Richard Kane, who incidentally was coming back to Chicago to secure Sam Giancana's holdings or whatever he had to do. But in the meantime, with his CIA connections, he went to Iran and opened up casinos with Sam Giancana. And they never gave anything to Tony Accardo. They never gave anything to the outfit from the casinos. It was Sam Giancana's position. And also, he was his lackey. He did whatever he was told. Made millions. But what he was told was, or what Giancana said to Accardo was, you didn't help me make that money. You told me to get out of town. I left. You told me I was bringing too much heat down. I'm gone. Why should I give you half of what I went out to make? And that's when Accardo said he's got to go too. Interesting, though. 73, it was Richard Kane. 75, it was Giancana. 77, it was he ran with Milwaukee Phil. I just said his name a minute ago. Chucky Nicoletti. So within a maybe 3-4 year period, all these people were dying off. And I heard the term many times. I don't know, most of you people probably didn't, but I heard the term many times, the Young Turks. And the Young Turks were considered to be Joey Lombardo and some of those other people that I've mentioned many, many times that were retiring. The old guard, the Jimmy Coutura, the people that knew Accardo. And Accardo took the hint. He said, I'm sure, it was said that he said it, that if I don't give something to these guys, I'm going to be on the list too. And after they killed Kennedy, he believed that they could kill anybody. And I believe it too. Mr. Crowley, Bill Crowley, I'm sorry you're late. You're sorry you're late. We're all sorry you're late, but you're here. Good to see you. Chris, good afternoon, Red. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, my friend. Scott, I'm smiling. That's good. Every day above ground's a good day. And you know what the topic is now. Christina. So that's what happened with Richard Kane. There was a little bit of mention when Richard Kane was with the sheriff's department. He was an undersheriff. Frank Collada mentioned that when they had problems that they didn't want to go to just anybody with, Richard Kane used to administer the polygraphs to outfit guys. If they came up negative on their polygraphs, nobody ever saw them alive again. They wound up in the trunk of a car, or they just plain disappeared. And that's the way it was. There have been a lot of speculations about Kane over the years. I told a story about him, a bedtime story about what happened. There's been a couple goofs on, only one really in particular, that said on YouTube, he said, you really think that happened? Red's making that up. It's bullshit. Well, no, it's not. I've got 302s from the FBI where I told them what happened. I became a mole for the FBI, or an informant, a snitch, a rat, whatever you want to call me. I don't give a shit. in August of 1971. And I kept up-to-date records on homicides, very serious on homicides. Not so much on gambling, not so much on prostitution, not so much on any fringe line business. If there were escorts, I never thought of escorts as prostitutes, really. My mind was different. Pornography, I never thought of that as a real bad business. Nobody went into it that didn't want to go into it. And in my era, people weren't taking drugs or having problems with PST, post-traumatic stress syndrome. If they got into it, they got into it. And mine was starting back in the old days when we had, I was running 8mm, 15-minute 8mm shorts. And they were black and white. And they came in little, on a reel for an 8mm camera, home movies. And they came in a little white box. I think there were 7x7, 7.5 by 7.5 box. It was a white box. And we print on the outside what it was. Then we got real super and we graduated to, I was innovative, very innovative, to Super 8. And we had color and we had sound. And it was expensive because there was a lot of splicing. A lot of things went on just to make the master. And once you got the master, but they sold. The price of them was outrageous. It was like, I think we were getting $75 for a 15-minute short back then. And later on, after I got into the VHS, it was $9.95. Your choice of any tape that was made. I used to get them for like $1.50, $2, something like that. It was good. And the ones I made, I didn't have that kind of money into them. Okay, here we go. Nutsack Zach. Red. When did you retire from being an informant? And what work did you do after that? Even before I retired, I worked for Beaton Services. It was a private detective agency in Chicago. And one of the agents that I knew, Rich Lucas, had retired from IRS CID. And he told me I could come to work there. One of the things that it did do was in Illinois, in the 70s, you could not own or possess a handgun or carry one. But with that badge, a licensed PI, fingerprinted, everything done that way, it was legal. So it was good for me. It was very good for me. I liked it. I liked it a lot. At any rate, what happened was that after that, since you want to know, when I did leave Chicago on September 15th, 1988, I went to Sarasota, Florida, and I opened up payphone companies, all my own businesses. I had plenty of cash to do it with. I had a gas station, had a transmission shop, a bunch of different things. And eventually, I left that area. Laundromat, too. I like laundromat, cash money, always. I left that area and went to Palm Beach. When I went to Palm Beach, I was a licensed private investigator in the state of Florida, fingerprinted. And I became a bail bond agent, recovery agent. I was writing bail bonds through surety companies and doing a lot of different things. But I was a licensed PI, and I wasn't cheap. I remember during the SNL scandal, there were some ladies that came down from Washington. And I got referred. They sent them to me. And they said, can you take them to these different locations and secure the properties that belong to the S&L that they foreclosed on? Because these people don't want to give them up. And some are coming in with shotguns. They're standing out. They hire guards. And so we want you to make sure these ladies are safe. So I did. And I don't know how many pieces of property I got back, but it was millions and millions and millions of dollars. Some of the places were only worth 500 grand. There was only 500 grand owed on them. One of them that I almost bought was Pine Island, which is, I think that's Lee County, but it's right off of Fort Myers. And I went out there. It was nothing at the time, but the guy has started to make condos, and he had the foundations in, and a whole row of them were built. He had a marina there. He had a lot of things going. He only owed like $470,000, but he wasn't going to pay it off. And he kept not paying for years. He owed a lot of money. I almost took it. I wanted to take it, but I wanted Rich as a partner. Rich Lucas, former IRS CID. And Rich told me, I got it sewed up so I can manage it. And that way I get management fees every month. Why would I sell it? Or why would I let you buy it? Rich regretted that, because if you went to see what it sold for when it finally did sell, it sold for about $23 million. So we would have made a big profit on it. But Rich went belly up bankrupt. He couldn't make it. He called me one time. He walked in on an FBI sting in Miami, and he said, I'm in real trouble. I got to get out of town. So I bought him a plane ticket under my name and got him out of town. He paid me back. I really haven't seen him since. Sean Naldi, where? Here. When? Right now. Me? Late again. Chicagoland. Not proper. Anyhow. Hey, Red. How's everything going? It's going great, Sean. Good to see you, buddy. So, getting back to the mysterious Mr. Kane, he was also one of the old guard. Although he wasn't a maid guy, he was definitely an associate, and definitely very instrumental in a lot of things in life. Close to Chucky Nicoletti, very close to Sam Giancana, and definitely a CIA asset. They have released his records. They admit that he was a CIA asset. They admit that he was involved in the Bad Pigs. They admit a lot of things. They admit his involvement with Lee Harvey Oswald and the training of troops. They admit an awful lot. He was a very impressive man. I think he just wanted too much, way too much. So I hope that explains most of the things to you that you want to know, or if you didn't want to know, I'm sorry. Anybody have any questions? I always throw a Q&A at the end. No? No questions? I didn't cover anything that you want to know about? I didn't miscover anything? Can you people hear me? Okay. Well, I thank all of you for stopping by. And this is my Wednesday story. Oh, wow. All of a sudden we have some things coming up. Was Kane FRO? I don't know what you're asking, Dave. FRO. What did I miss? Start from the top. You want me to do it all over again? That's going to be boring, guy, for some people. Oh, do I think the CIA had anything to do with it? No. In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. I think they wanted him gone. I'm sure they let Marshall know that he was playing both sides of the fence. And all Marshall really ever told me was that he was trying to get his territory back. And the thing that I got a kick out of was when Marshall came back out of prison, he wanted his territory back. And he was told, hey, we can't give you your territory back. We can't give it to you. We've already given it to other people. What are we going to go up to them and say, we're taking it back? Marshall's out. And Marshall said, yeah, okay, that makes sense. What do you got for me? And they put him with Joey Lombardo. And they kind of gave him a free rein to do whatever he wanted. And then he came with me. Joey gave him to me, or gave me to him. And that was the first money-making deal he went into. But there were a lot of things along the way that he tried. So I think Kane, his murder was orchestrated by the CIA? No, I think they just gave him to the mob. They let him know. They let the mob know. They let the outfit know by leaking information that it was in their best interest to get rid of him. And that's how it happened. What was his function? He was a gopher for Sam Giancana. Before that, his function was he was the undersheriff of Ogilvy. And I think his claim for fame was a big, in 1964, he made a tremendous gay raid, homosexual raid. And after that, they kind of put him on the side shelf because he rocked too many boats. Thank you, Bill. You're the only one that told me that you can hear me loud and clear. Appreciate it. Was Kane from the patch? Yes, he was. He was Irish Italian, and he was from the patch. Thank you, Sean. You can always listen to it again and make a comment. If you like it, everybody hit that like button and make sure you got the bell on for notification. And please leave a comment. I'd like to get some of my videos out. Okay. Zach, why was Chucky Nicoletti and Johnny Roselli clipped? You put it in such a nice way. A lot of people put things that way, clipped. How about murdered? Because that's what happened. It was a brutal murder. Chuck's case, he was sitting in a restaurant parking lot, and whoever was in the seat, in the back seat behind him, put 2 or 3 in the back of his head. He never saw it coming. But then again, Chuck was very close to Milwaukee Phil, and Phil had to know he was going. Mr. Hunt, Tim Hunt, some of the comments aren't showing up on your end. That's not because of me. It's because of your cell phone. Christina, I think it's because they're on Facebook. Tim, they won't show up on YouTube chat. Okay. Who are you talking about? Oh, the comments. No, because this isn't on Facebook. I'm not running a duel like Adam does. So that isn't the way I do it. I just run it here. That's the way I am. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is an alias. His original name, I got to think now, but his original name was trying to think of it. He also worked as a detective too at Burns Detective Agency in Dallas. He did have another name, and I just can't think of what it is right now. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. John Flood, who is on Facebook, said he worked with Kane. And I don't know. He has his own opinions on a lot of things. John and I don't get along very well. And that's no secret. You talked about Chuck. How was Johnny murdered? Johnny Roselli? Are you talking about Johnny Roselli, Zach? Tim, yes, he did do time in jail. I think it was for perjury. Okay, you're talking about Johnny Roselli. Johnny Roselli was in Florida. That was also 1977. This all happened through that era, guy. And Johnny Roselli was, he was born like somewhere around the same time as all these guys. It was before 1910. And what happened, what I was told happened, was that he was killed by Wayne Bach and Frank Schweihs in broad daylight. They scooped him up and they shot him and killed him. But it was daylight and they couldn't get rid of the body. What they wanted to do was put the body in a 55-gallon drum and punch holes in the drum and push it out to sea. And nobody'd ever find the body again. Wrong. They ran across all kinds of problems, serious problems. There you go. That was Scott. That was his real name. Richard's, I can't even pronounce it. Scalazzi. That was Richard Kane's real name. You got it. Anywho, what happened with the Roselli murder was kind of simple. They didn't know what to do, so they waited till later. And rigor mortis, Florida's hot. I don't know if you live down here or you've been down here, but in the summertime, it is hot. So rigor mortis set in. They couldn't fit him in the drum. So they sawed the body in half, put the legs in, and then put the head and the torso in, and then pushed it out by Hollywood Beach out into the tide, and it pushed it away. but it got into the straits, the Florida Straits, and came right back up and up through the Gulf and found its way around to Key Biscayne. It washed up on the shores of Key Biscayne. I think it was a week later, 10 days later, after he was murdered. But he was also supposed to go back and give his second testimony before the McClellan Committee. And that's why he talked the first time. He didn't give any facts away, but he did talk. He didn't take the Fifth Amendment. So when he was going back the second time, he didn't want to go to prison. He was older. I think he was in his 60s at the time. Do I think? Yeah, I think very strongly that the McClellan, they had information, and they were just going to ask the right questions. And if he lied, he was a perjurer. If he didn't lie, he was going to hang himself. So it was he just did a lot of things when he was younger he didn't think about. He never thought it was going to come to that. Nobody does. Nobody in life thinks they're going to get caught. Burglars, they never think they're going to get caught. Robbers, armed robbers, they don't think they're going to get caught. Murderers, professional murderers, they don't think they're going to get caught. If they thought they were going to get caught, they wouldn't do it. If they knew what the payday meant, what the prison time was, what the aggravation was, what the misery was, they wouldn't do it. But they do anyway. Hans Gruber, do you think Frank Schweihs was involved in Tony Spilaccio? And he was there. He told me he was there. He told me that on camera in my living room. He knew I liked Tony, and he told me about it. And I went, wow. Never showed any emotion until he left. When he left, I cried like a baby. Bad. Yeah, he told me how he kicked him to death. That's one of the things he said. He called him some real foul names. That's what started my investigation on Frank Schweihs, Hans. That happened at the end of 1986. And I called for a meeting with the U.S. Attorney at that time, Assistant U.S. Attorney, and Strike Force. And we met at Holiday Inn, Madison Halsted. And I told him, the FBI wasn't happy about that at all. They wanted to keep me undercover forever. But I told him, I said, this guy is talking. They said, you'll never get him to talk. He doesn't have a phone in his house. This guy didn't talk to anybody. And I said, believe me. And I told him some of the things he told me. I told him about how he killed Eugenia Pappas, how he killed Marilyn Monroe, how he murdered Marilyn Monroe. And I told him Tony was with him. I told him everything. And guess what? He said, okay, we'll get you a wire. And I said, no, I don't want to wear a wire. He said, well, we'll get you a recording device. Where do you meet? And I said, in my home. And that's where it happened. He went before his supervisor, which was Gary Shapiro, who was objecting to this thing. He didn't want it to happen. And then it went to the judge, and the warrant was issued. And then it went to the FBI in Washington, D.C. And then it went to the tech department, which they gave him the equipment, and somebody brought it out to me. But there were no techs available to install it. It was a long stall. But I was up and running in 1987. And when I was up and running in 1987, Hans, I got him to admit it. And I found out the best way to get to admit something, someone to admit something, is to tell the story, but tell it wrong. And they'll correct you. In his case, I said, Frank, that guy, it was senseless to take him all the way out to Indiana and beat him up in the cornfield. And he said, what do you got, shit in your ears? Did you hear it? And he told me the whole story again on tape. Was I clever? Yeah, I guess I was. I know the FBI looked at me and said, how'd you get him to talk? I just said, this guy's got diarrhea of the mouth. He doesn't stop talking. He keeps telling me all the things he did. That's bad. You're welcome, Hans. Scott, I don't think Trump has that much control. But if he straightens out the FBI, it'll be a miracle. Put an end to Antifa? I don't know. What is Antifa? I mean, we got idiots, punks running around on the streets saying, we're Antifa. Yeah? All they are is a bunch of big mouths. And because of the way this country's run right now, the truth of the matter is, it's against the law to harm somebody. Freedom of speech, hey, that cop is a no good. You can call him anything you want. You can call him a pedo. You can call him anything you want. It's legal. It ain't like the old days. If I had my way, I told somebody this a long time ago, what's going on in Broadview right now, where they're being so nice to these demonstrators that don't have a permit to demonstrate, but they're out there. They don't live in that community. They don't live there, but they're out there. They're out there with bullhorns. They're out there marching. They're out there walking across people's lawns. And the only thing I can say about that is they can all be happy that they're not walking across my lawn. I'd be going out to the stables and picking up a horse and saddle that sucker up and get on his back, and I would ride through that crowd. If anybody got trampled, it'd be because they didn't get out of the way, because it wouldn't be because they didn't see me coming, because they would see me coming. And that's what I think the state police should be doing, instead of going 1 foot at a time, pushing them back and making an arrest here, arrest there. Arrest them when they're in the hospital. You want lumber in your teeth? Stay out here. Those riot batons, they work good, especially on horseback. When you're up high, a good swing down, no problem. It works. Spirit of justice. I don't know. Antifa's not organized. I mean, a group will get together and say, we're Antifa. Okay. You're paid protesters, what you are. And paid protesters are really just rioters. That's all they are. That's what I believe. Scott, I'm with you, Red. Can't pussyfoot around with overgrown. No, you can't. And when you send women out to do a man's job because, you can't hurt a woman. Well, she throws a rock at me or hits me in my face or does something that any man would do, and she's going to pay the same consequences. And I'll tell you what they do have that you can buy every day. As long as you're on your own property, you're safe with it. Tasers. I'm not talking about the kind you push into the gut or you get close with. I'm talking about the kind that go out 18 feet. Buy 50 of them and reload them. And just shoot people. They'll leave. They won't stick around. Or like I said, get on horseback and just ride right through them. A whumping and doing whatever you got to do with that riot baton. Make sure you put shin guards on. Pretend you're playing polo. That crowd will break up. And once they're used to getting lumber in their teeth, they see people going to the hospital, they're not going to stick around. Or if they do come back with guns, great. If they want to come back shooting, great. They're bought and paid for. But I do like rubber bullets too. The kind they use in prisons. Load up with some rubber bullets. Fire into a crowd. Watch them disperse. They don't like that. Ow. Ooh, ooh, ow. Did you see that? That looks like a disco light. It hurts. It works too. George Wilson, red. I would vote you to run the Department of Justice. Well, I'm not a liberal. And some people might say my methods are inhumane. But I believe when you give an order, a lawful order, and you don't have a permit to gather, and you're in a community that didn't give you that permit, you don't have to show these people nice. The politest thing you could do is say, disperse. I'm giving you a lawful order. Those that don't disperse risk injury. Say that every 3 or 4 minutes and then let it happen and keep on saying it. Anybody that tries to drown me out with a megaphone or a loudspeaker, you're going to pay the price. Scott H. They're all a bunch of pussies anyway. They haven't had any opposition. Not the right kind. George Wilson, your methods are my methods. I think there are a lot of people's methods. I think that some people that live in Broadview are screaming about this. Their lawns are all torn up. There's debris all over the place. They don't care. They don't even live there. They came there just because the ice facility happens to be there. Well, it's not in an industrial neighborhood. There's houses across the street. There's houses in the neighborhood. Dave, I agree with that. They made ICE tear down the fence around the facility. No, not the whole fence. The one that there was a through street that actually went through to the next street. And ICE put up a fence there. But they took the fence down, but they put up a rolling gate across there, Dave. And emergency vehicles like fire department and other things, they have a control for the gate so they can open it up to get through. Otherwise, it's closed. But the gate they put up is much stronger than the fence too. And they also put up cement guards on the sides. They're doing their best to make it what it is. And I handed the state police for doing as much as they did. I think they made, 28 arrests on Sunday? Or was it Monday, Tuesday? A few days ago. They made 28 arrests. And the people they arrested, a lot of them were women. But they would lay down, sit down. They had to drag them. Yeah, you got to get rough with these people. They don't care. One was a WGM producer. She threw a rock at a ICE agent. They have it on videotape. That's assaulting a federal officer. And she's saying, help me, brutality. She's kind of a whale anyway, but so be it. It is what it is. Scott H. They can't beat the federal government. Sooner or later, the feds are going to crack down. I would hope so. I really would. Yes, it is a shame. Broadview and Westchester are both nice towns, but they have a large facility there, and it's a place to put them. And when you listen to these people, this is one of the things that bothers me, guys. I don't know how I got off on this rant from Richard Kane, but this is one of the things that bothers me. Um, you listen to the people outside, they don't even live in that community. And they say innocent people are being taken in here and deported. No, that isn't what's really happening. And I don't think they have a reason to even go that direction, because anybody that's taken into any police facility, if they have an ID on them, they produce the ID. Then they run them through the computers. We have computers today. If there's a warrant for their arrest, fine. If they have a green card and they're here legally, because you have to be legal to get a green card, unless you came from California. But if you're legal and you're not in the computer system, they release you. That's it. So the people that are being taken and deported are only people that came into this country without permission. They came in illegally. Or while they were here, they did something that was wrong and illegal. They committed a rape. They committed an armed robbery. They were involved in a manslaughter, a murder, something heavy. They don't really go after people that are not people that are doing things. It's sad but true. I was telling somebody about this last night on the phone. And as I was speaking to them on the phone, you know what they said to me? Please hang up, delete my phone number, delete my friendship on Facebook. I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. I didn't say a thing. I hit the button. Block. I got to the computer. Delete. The, what do they call it? Messenger. Block that one too. It's over. Why? Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. I feel strong about what I believe in. I don't believe Donald Trump is right in everything that he does, but Donald Trump doesn't have his finger on everything that's going on. He never could. Nobody can. I think he hired the right people. I think Pam Bondi's doing a fine job. I think Kash Patel is doing a fine job. Our deputies are doing a fine job. Deputy FBI agents our FBI directors, they're doing a good job. And good old Mr. Pritzker, JB Blob Pritzker. Yeah, you know, it really, I got to tell you, Tim, it made me look him up, and go look him up under Wikipedia. He was born and raised in California. That told me something right there. His father died, and he was sent off to a boarding school in Massachusetts. Somehow, he wound up in Chicago at Northwestern University, where Rahm Emanuel hired him as his assistant. Later on, he had something to do with the city, and then he became the governor. In between time, when his father died, when he was about 8 years old, who was, I think it was head of the board of Hyatt House. They owned the controlling interest in Hyatt House, his family. When they divided up the proceeds, he took 40, 50 million for himself. And he thinks he's going to buy his way to the White House, kind of like Trump did. Trump bought his way through. He went through the rest of the Republican people by just spending money. Do I condemn that? No, I like what he's doing. He's the only hope we got. Did I want Mitt Romney? No. Did I want John McCain? No. I didn't want any of the Bushes. They were a mess. But that's my politics, folks. I purged a lot of so-called friends over. Yeah, I purged a lot myself too, Scott. Who needs them? I don't. I didn't even say anything. I just went click. That was it. Beep. He was gone. That's all he had to tell me was, I don't want to talk to you ever again. That's enough. I don't like what you're saying. What gets me, Sean Noldy, what gets me is those who are supporting, say, our stolen land, but Mexico, let me read this properly. What gets me, those who are supporting say we stole the land, but then so is Mexico, who was captured by Spain. Yeah, but we stole the land. I mean, America has been stealing land. The United States of America has been stealing land since we got here. The original colonies were only on the East Coast. We took a lot of it from Indians. And even the area that I'm in Florida, that used to belong to Spain, it belonged to France. And when you go out to California, that all belonged to Mexico at one time. And we had the Mexican-American War. Remember the Alamo? We took Texas. We took California. They didn't want to fight anymore. So we fought a war and we stole it from them. They were well paid. Very well paid. And if they wanted to do something about it, why didn't they put together an army, a navy, and a marine or battlefield and come after us right after it happened? Why not at 1950 during World War II, somewhere around 1940? No, they're always relying on the United States to protect them. And that's what we did. We protected them. Feedback, Phil. Another very good show, Red. You always bring the receipts with you and facts. I would have given John. No, I couldn't have given John Drummond a run for his money. He was a good man. Very good man. I always liked what he did. It's conquered land. That's how we civilized and formed it. You got it. Rahm Emanuel, another piece of work. Yeah, he was Rahm Emanuel was Barack Obama's boy. He did exactly what he told him to. Jim Magnifici agrees with you, Jim. Or Scott. I'm sorry. Jim, I'm old. I'm comfortable in my own counsel that I choose. I am too, guy. I'm beginning to say I'm old. When I get young people telling me my thinking is way off and other people deserve the woke society, no, they don't deserve it. You got to work for it. You got to get out there and fight for it. Even if you go back to the hippie era with Jerry Garcia, he said, nothing is free. Free love? Yeah. Free living? Yeah. But at the end, you're going to pay a price. And he was right. The Grateful Dead. Very good. Sean Nully, you met John McCain when he ran for against Bush. Major anger issue. Yeah, he had a lot of major anger issues. I was afraid he'd put us in war. I really was. So I voted for Barack Obama. I wanted to change. I got snowed. I wanted to change, all right, but I didn't get the one I wanted. Christina Morris, thanks for coming on. All right. Love listening to you chat. Thank you, Christine. Feedback, Phil. I think you said it before. The politics, CIA, FBI got rid of the mob, but stole their methods. Yes, they did. Scott, gas around 275 in Georgia. Yes, it is. It's 289 where I'm at. My gas station. I filled up Monday. It was 289. George Wilson, how did you feel about Richard J. Daley, the boss? Senior, I loved him. He died in 1977. He was a great man. His kids, both of them, Bill and Richard Jr., were all garbage. If the old man were alive, he would have beat him, which he did when he was alive. Sean Nolly, my thinking is probably way off, unlike the sense of direction, which is spot on, unless I get lost. Okay. Bill Crawley, we all got snowed with Obama. Well, I wasn't the only sucker. Scott didn't vote for Obama. Hans Gruber, he always comes up, Hans Gruber. That always reminds me of Die Hard. Do you think DeFranco was an informant? Yes, I know he was an informant. Nick Calabrese testified he was at Spilacio's both murders, and he wasn't arrested for it. Yes, that's true. That's very true, Hans. He wasn't arrested. And I was at the Family Secrets trial. And a lot of people don't like what I say about it. Yes, it was satirical. I understood what you said. You said, I'll go right back and get it. My thinking is probably way off, unlike my sense of direction, which is spot on, unless I get lost. Very satirical. I love it. I love it. Bill Crawley, gas is $2.95 in Palm Beach County. I wouldn't doubt it. It's getting crazy here. Lisa, love to catch the replay. And for now, it's Right We Met begging you. Hit the like button. Give me some likes. And I am out. I will see you Monday. Okay? God bless all of you. Thank you for coming by. And anybody that's watching this afterwards, I hope you have a terrific week and a good weekend. God bless. This Red We Met out.
The combination of the videotapes and We Met's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweihs, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.